Recording is
Welcome to DXgov Governance Discussion, April 21st, 1500 UTC. Starting first with the proposal roundup. Mute yourself if you were unmuted. Starting first with the proposal roundup, we have two proposals on mainnet. One is a revised DXD payment based on all-time high value. This was from Roy, and it was a substitute for a previous proposal that had an incorrect amount of DXD in there, and that's sent to a vesting contract. And then second, there's a signal proposal, Treasury Diversification Authorization Program V2, also corresponding proposal on XDI. I think we'll talk about that in a second. And then just going through the XDI base. Actually, let's just start with the signal proposal. So we have the signal proposal for the Treasury Authorization V2. So this was discussed last week. And then we had the proposal that was submitted on both XDI and mainnet. And so Sky, I don't know if you want to give like an overview of what this authorization proposal encapsulates.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but it was the idea of the V2 Treasury diversification proposal is to continue and extend the first proposal was to acquire $3 million in stables, which the overall idea is to give DXDAO a known runway, match assets to cost. All of DXDAO's costs are basically in dollars on a monthly basis, and so acquiring dollar stable coins is a smart risk management move and is what locks in the known future for having assets to continue to build and grow DXDAO. And so at the same time, overall, if an entity or DXDAO is going to hold dollar stable coins, and there's a certain target that we've established through these two proposals, but if we're going to hold dollar stable coins, it then makes sense to put those dollar stable coins to work in relatively safe-ish protocols and things. So using dollar stables in our own protocols like Swapper on Omen, and then also seeking yield on the dollar stable coins that we're holding makes sense. So there's included in the V2 proposal an idea to put up to $5 million in yield earning assets, such as starting from like basic, more safe things like Compound and Aave to higher yielding ones like Y-Earn, and then also potentially exploring putting some of DXDAO's ETH to work, trying to acquire some yield on that, and that can be through ETH2 staking or potentially other protocols as well. And it's also noted that DXDAO in general is very open to any one-off proposals for new ideas. So if there's a new protocol or maybe a Euro stable coin or something that DXDAO is always wants to see those, and the best way for someone to convey that strategy and that idea, it would be through a forum post / type deal memo explaining why DXDAO should do this thing, and then those can always be voted on by rep holders separately from this program that we already have in place. And so we put the V2 Treasury diversification proposal on mainnet and on XDAI both at the same time, so that we could hopefully get lots of voting participation. The mainnet proposal, even though it is a signal proposal, is what it's, this is a big amount of money. Then it all states that the mainnet proposal is the main proposal. So, a bunch of people should probably vote on that one, but anyone else is welcome to vote on the XDAI proposal. And theoretically, the two proposals should line up, and the XDAI version is more fun and cheaper and allows you to participate better. So it's great if people can be very active in voting on XDAI chain, because that's really shows like the growth and governance of DXDAO. And so yeah, that's the overall summary. where there's a couple issues with like leveraging the or actually no. There's Chris, maybe you're going to get into it. There's a couple issues with like sending money from DXDAO right now, or executing, redeeming money from DXDAO once a proposal passes. But I think we can get that sorted out, and maybe there's some delays. And even though, you know, DXDAO in general, there's been a very gradual process of layering into dollar stable coins. So it's, you know, it's a slow, drawn out process, and that's probably good in general, that it creates like an averaging in to dollar stable coins. And, you know, we started when ETH was closer to $1,000, and now we're closer to, you know, $3,000. And you know, DXDAO has benefited from that ETH appreciation as well. So
Sky getting a little ahead of himself with the 3K ETH 3K ETH call, but just as a and we did conclude the first treasury authorization proposal. We did the last proposal yesterday, so we reached the 3 million, and it was another 150K USDC. So we have all of those, and then after this proposal, you know, both continuing what we've done before, but also expanding some of the different ideas. And I really like the idea of investment memo or things like that, where we can talk about new ideas to be able to put things to work. So excited to see this proposal go through. Cool. And then just looking at the rest of the XDAI proposals, so there's 6 others, I think. So we've got a bunch of different worker proposals. They're Hexel, AliQ, Trial, and the first one, and then also my worker proposal. And then there's a couple of other interesting proposals. There's the worker payment reimbursement to Gemino for the compromised wallet. So I think it's like 3,600 DAI. After that, there's a thread that provides some good lessons in cybersecurity on that. And then there is a Zorin rep transfer, which is a rep sync. And then there's also a audit swapper farming contract audit payment that is going through there. I did have one question on the burning of rep. I was like actually trying to like do this or like figure out what to do, and I think, did we agree that all you need to really do is just have the negative amount of rep? And I guess the concern was like, I know that rep has like a bunch of decimals, so I was like worried that we would want to get it so it's like 0 rep, and I wasn't sure actually where to find the rep contract on Block Scout. But I didn't know if anyone had any ideas on like how we burn someone's rep entirely.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Chris?
How do we burn someone's rep entirely?
Just the negative. So there's no proposal for it yet, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we just have to do a negative amount for the exact amount that they have.
How do we find the exact amount?
Because
it's like that's just 2. Yeah, because it's like 2. It's just 2 decimals, but like that's what they have on Alchemy.
Yeah.
But like if it's like, if we're gonna burn it all, it's like if you leave a little bit, it would like not do as good. And I couldn't find the rep contract on Block Scout, but
yeah, we can help you with that later. Or
Augusto is.
To burn reputation, we just need to call the burn method in the reputation token. Actually, we need to make a call to burn the reputation amount that we want to burn. It's not like a negative minting, right? So you have burn and mint. We need to burn reputation amount.
Augusto, can you say burn all to an account, or do you actually need the exact precise 15?
You need the exact the latest reputation supply. So you need to find the reputation token, execute the get reputation at certain block, at the latest block. You get the amount of reputation in way unit, and that's the amount that you need to burn.
Cool.
All in way unit.
Yeah, let's try that out.
Cool. Yeah, we'll figure that out. That was the max component. Yeah.
But Augusta, I think in the UI, when you're making a proposal, the way you do it is by putting a negative amount of reputation in, and then in the end, that should cause a
No,
burn.
that
Does it have to match the exact amount in a wallet? Could it be an exceeding amount of negative rep and just it burns everything that's in the wallet? Or?
in the UI level, you have a negative number. That's weird. I mean, we have to check it out, but under the hood, we execute the burn function with a positive number. That's the amount that you want to burn. So
Yeah, that's how the contract would work. But like in the UI, yeah, I don't think there's like a burn field or anything. I don't think. Yeah.
okay.
And so I'm just going off of when loopring / theirs, there was like a negative amount of rep. So I don't know. We can check it out though.
And the negative shows up in the UI for like the proposals. It's presumably they put a negative amount in the actual proposal submission. Anyway, that we'll figure that out, and I'll follow up with Augusto on getting like the number for that. And then I think that was it for boosted proposal on mainnet and XDAI. Any thoughts, comments, questions? And then there were a couple different unboosted proposals that I saw that I just wanted to kind of flag and talk about here. I think they were submitted recently. So I think the first one is the software development for DXDAO, which I believe is from Quellcode. And so I guess, is that, what is that proposal? Should that be boosted? Is there anyone that has insight into that proposal?
Yeah, I haven't double checked the actual proposal, but they did work with Swapper, and so I think it should be a legitimate proposal. But I need to actually look at the wording and review. I don't know if anybody else has looked already.
And then the other one was a proposal to retain outside counsel for DXDAO. This is one that Tammy had posted, I think, at the forum like a week ago. It's kind of been up there, and I think it was just submitted in the last day or two. So Tammy, I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
No,
proposal.
just submitted this morning, and it seemed like it was generally supported as far as the DAO Talk post. So if you support it, please vote for it. If not, vote against. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, and then looking, just returning to problems executing recent proposal. So the mainnet proposal to deposit 400 ETH into Swapper on XDAI by way of the multi-sig passed on Monday morning, and then yesterday we tried to redeem the proposal to execute it, and we ran into some problems redeeming the proposal. And there was a lot of hunting to figure out exactly what the problem was. And so I think we are still figuring out the next steps, but right now it appears that it's hard for us. It's not capable for us to directly redeem ETH proposals. So I don't know if Augusto or John want to give an insight into the issue facing redeeming proposals now on mainnet, and what are the issues with it.
Yeah, I can address this. So we actually hit this same problem with the Swapper deployer contract. Maybe some people will remember that when that proposal passed and we tried to execute it, it failed. And I mean, the reason for this is, so we're having now the same issue with sending Ether. So that was sending Ether to the deployer contract for Swapper, and then now we're having the same issue sending Ether to a Gnosis safe multi-sig. And the problem is that the DAO stack code, which is a couple of years old, older than that at this point, uses just a simple transfer function to send the ETH. And this has like a hard-coded coded amount of gas that it can use in that transfer function. And so when the recipient contract is not doing like the vanilla thing, if it has a what's called a fallback function with some like custom code, basically if it's trying to do more complicated stuff, it might want to consume more than the hard-coded amount of gas. And so that is actually now failing with the Gnosis Safe multisig. And we think this is probably related to the gas cost changes in the Berlin hard fork. Although I suppose, it's probably related to that. So what this means is the DAO currently now can't send Ether to Gnosis Safe multisigs directly. That doesn't.
Is it just Ether? Sorry, is it just Ether, or is it any token?
This issue is with just Ether. Augusto, would you know? Would we run into the same error with? I don't know if it affects.
No, yeah, this error is with Ether, because when you transfer Ether, the default function that we are using use 21,000 gas. So if you have more code to be executed on the recipient, which is happening on the multi-signature that is receiving the Ether, is going to break because it's not going to have enough gas to run the computation. So this is the behavior that we are having after the Berlin fork, and it is only happening on Ether. On any other asset, we shouldn't have any problem.
And so this is a setback, obviously, because now you can't do that. But there's a way around it. I think if DXgov deploys a relayer that doesn't have this kind of fallback function, it's basically you have this like intermediary step to getting to the multisig. Yeah.
So it's quite DXDAO is quite lucky in this scenario, like at least in the short term, that like we have the power of DXDAO with a decent amount of funds there. So it's like having funds on different chains is in different places is like making DXDAO more resilient, which is good to know.
Yeah, and just in terms of like, I guess this is kind of a little bit of a limitation. So this does slow down some. Obviously, like we had this was going to be a deposit into Swapper, and so if it's as Sky said, so not only do we have XDXDAO, there's a good amount of WETH there, but also we have other assets, stablecoins in the mainnet treasury if there was something that we needed to get a mainnet proposal. But in terms of moving forward, I guess there's, what should we be thinking about how to move forward?
Wait, actually, to RF Noob's question, if DXDAO had an ability to just wrap using a wrapper to wrap ETH, do you have to send ETH to wrap ETH, or is wrapping ETH an easier mechanism that we'd be able to handle the gas, and then you could just start wrapping ETH and then using WETH?
Well, if we add WETH to the list of the multi-call, for example, to the multi-call recipients, we will be able to deposit Ether in the WETH contract and receiving WETH tokens in exchange.
Augusto, when you say deposit, is that equivalent to sending ETH?
No, you are calling I guess you can do it both ways. I guess they have a fallback function, but we cannot execute any fallback function like that is going to have extra computation. So I guess we should send Ether calling the deposit function on WETH, and we are going to have exactly the same amount on WETH tokens that we send on Ether. So we cannot just send Ether to the WETH and receive WETH tokens. We can generate WETH token from the avatar, but not by just sending Ether, by executing a function.
Okay, so that's like another solution, but that doesn't exist today. That would still take work to do.
We don't have the WETH listed in the multi-call scheme, right? So
Yeah.
I guess maybe we can do it in the future. But for now, the quicker solution will be to deploy, like John said, and relayer that we only are having this problem for Ether. So it will be a smart contract that will receive the Ether and it will send it to another address. Like it can be a smart contract that all the Ether received from DXgov, send it to the DXgov multi-signature.
Cool.
And so is the relayer the fix that we should be working towards, and that's what are we looking at, like the timeline for that?
Yeah, I think this is the fix that makes sense. It shouldn't be too hard to implement and deploy. I mean, we should have it audited for good measure, although it's not going to be too complicated. But I would say give it maybe a week and a half for us to get something out.
Oh, we can do it. We can do it in way less. I mean, we can write the smart contract on the DXgov contracts and add the tests. And I mean, we don't even need to audit it, John. I mean, it's just a relayer.
Yeah, but it's going to be relaying a lot of money. So I think for good measure.
Yeah, well, but
Yeah.
well, we have the tools in DXgov contracts to write the test for it. So maybe we can do it there.
It should be a very easy audit, maybe, is the...
I mean, we can review it internally ourselves. It's just a relayer of Ether.
Yeah, as long as we review it.
Yeah, we should be able to review it. I mean, if you got your eye, John, Federico, Adam, Nico, everyone looking at it, we cannot miss it. Like,
So this is what HATS is, right? Decentralized bug bounty auditors, except we're using the DXDAO community to do that. That's like the ideal scenario.
yeah, I think we are.
Especially as
I
it grows.
think we can call it Ether relayer. That's not something super complex. So.
And on the proposal front, I guess we don't have to, this wouldn't be like a new, it wouldn't be part of the multi-call, because it would presumably it would be the funding and voting power scheme, and then it would send it to the relayer itself. Like that would be the address in the proposal. And I guess we would have to redo this proposal, and I guess this is the only proposal sending out ETH. So yeah, I guess we'd have to redo this proposal.
Positive. We will have to redo it and send the Ether to the Ether relayer once it is deployed.
Guys, just a detailed question, but we would not be able to use the funding and voting proposal, right? Actually, we would have to do two separate proposals even for that little kind of detail, because we somehow need to provide the information where we actually want to send it, finally.
We could hard code the multi-sig if we want to just do the quickest thing.
Okay, so it would always just for the multi-call, then it's totally fine.
I mean, I guess in general, like right now, obviously not very many addresses are using mainnet in general. It's primarily to move funds. But this would
we got an issue, like DX Ventures is going to start sending money through proposal to.
Is that going to be an ETH?
No, I guess it doesn't have to be.
Right, it's calculated in US dollars. So USD, we could do any equivalent to that, or we can. I guess that's actually part of the question we need to determine if we want to do ETH or not.
Yeah, so it could not be ETH. The other thing we could do, if we, for example, needed more non-ETH assets into DXDAO, is like a delayed member balancer, where like people put money, like people individually give loans to like pump DAI into DXDAO and then request ETH like in 2 months when this is sorted out, or in 2 weeks when this is sorted out. If there was an immediate need for DAO to actually have other funds in order to send,
yeah,
pump in WETH and ask for ETH later.
I mean, I do just in terms, if there is anything that like, immediately comes up, we do still have, there's 100 WETH in the XDI base that is there for general funding purposes. So presumably that still works. And obviously someone would have to take it on XDI. And then, other tokens, the stable coins would be presumably be accessible. But it sounds like this would only be something that would be a couple weeks at max in terms of our inability to send ETH out. And I guess, is this like the long term? Would this be the long term fix, or is like the long term fix we need a better like DAO stack system, or like something completely?
Yeah. I mean, we could do other things with the relayer to kind of like make it even more flexible to deal with the current setup. But I mean, the long term fix is to like migrate to a new governance system that doesn't use the old deprecated like transfer function. And and if Augusto is saying, I was saying a week and a half, not really knowing who could work on it, but Augusto's saying that he would work on it today. So I mean, I think we could have like the ability to send ETH to the multi-sig basically restored by the end of week.
And even I can test it with the avatar contract. That on the DXgov contract we use exactly the same contract that we use on mainnet. So we can write the test, we can see that it works, we can test it on Rinkeby if we want using DXvote. So and in the long term, we started talking about some changes that we need to do on the voting machine that looks like it's going to happen on DXvote when we deploy it on Rinkeby, XI, Arbitrum. We're going to deploy a voting machine with new features that were requested. One is the minimum threshold for the boosted execution of boosted proposals. So to be able to require a minimum percentage of positive votes in a boosted proposal to be executed, and also the automatic boosting of proposals. Right now, when a proposal is pre-boosted, someone needs to click the execute button to pass it to boosted state, or a bot is doing that. The idea is to do that automatically. So that is already starting to happen, and I think this is part of the long-term DXgov 2.0 governance contracts. That is what I guess we are going to be working on the rest of the year. Once we have DXgov deployed on our networks and everyone is using it, everyone is going to these features request appeared yesterday, and we already have issues for it, and we are going to be working on it. So that is how we are going to be changing our smart contract layer to don't run into these issues that we run when we were sending Ether.
Yeah, and Gusto's been doing a lot of work on DXvote. I didn't put this in the agenda, but I gave a presentation, I think it was yesterday, in the dev call there. So I guess that that's something that we're working on, creating a whole new system that we can interact with, so we don't run into these problems. And it's in a lot of ways like the things we're dealing with Alchemy and DAO Stack are legacy issues and legacy problems, and the way to solve it is to move to a new system. And Augusto is doing a lot of great work on DXvote. I don't know if he's got a GitHub set up for other issues that if people are interested in contributing there. And I don't know if there's anything else on DXvote, Augusto, that you were looking for input or things from the community.
Well, I created a list. We talked on the latest governance call, and we decided on the issues that are going to be for the first milestone, that is DXgov 1.0, where we say the minimum requirements, and also that it should be deployed on Arbitrum, that I've been working on. But we have a list already on all the things that need to be ready on DXgov 1.0. So I'm planning to submit my proposal, like a single proposal, on how much time is going to take me, like a contribution, like a single proposal for a contribution compensation that I'm going to be working on in the next 1-2 months. And the most important thing is that a few requirements and deploy on Arbitrum, because we need it. This is something that we shall be talking also to today, that we need a governance platform on Arbitrum, because we are going to be using our product in Arbitrum. So we cannot We can have a multi-signature, but that's not ideal. So we have DXgov that is supposed to be easily deployable on our networks. So it's the perfect fit.
Yeah, super excited about DXgov, in particular Arbitrum rollout. It really is. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Next up, proposal, exec search for marketing lead. So this was a potential proposal from Trey from Position Company. He was on the BizDev call, I think, 10 days ago to kind of present himself, and then there's been some discussion here. I think this is important for us to kind of increase our capabilities, especially as we see the marketing infrastructure we have is not really where we want to be in terms on a product level. And I think this would be a good way of like bringing in additional resources to take time to really kind of find someone that would fit the candidate. And I think the way that the deal is structured, the upside is if the price would be $40K if everything worked out. But that basically guarantees us a senior marketing person for a year because there is if a person isn't a fit or leaves during that time, they say they'll refill the position automatically or without extra costs. So yeah, I think this is something that is important, and I was hoping to get some consensus today before having Trey submit the proposal. So wanted to open up to comments and feedback here.
I'll just a brief comment. I've flip-flopped on this mentally quite a bit. It's quite a steep cost. But the bottom line is we need this senior marketing person, and we needed them yesterday. And if this is the approach that we need to take to do that, then we need to do that. I don't think that we should wait any longer or try to do stuff on our own if it's not going to be feasible, and then we end up circling back. I think that I'm in support of this, and we just need to do what we need to do to get this marketing person.
I have two reservations, which doesn't mean that I'm not foregoing forward with this effort along with other ones. I think it'd be good to discuss it with them maybe, and I could bring it up in the forum, but might as well first see what other people think. The timeline, 10 to 12 weeks. If we're going to be launching a token and all these other product changes before that time frame, I don't know how well that fits. That doesn't mean that I don't want them to get started looking, but I wonder if there's any way that we can't speed up the process here and make that kind of like clear that, yeah, maybe 10 to 12 weeks, we actually, like Keenan said, need someone yesterday. If not, within the next within the next month, if possible. So that's one thing that maybe we could just talk with them about and just try to get some clarity on that. And that could be something that we could update the post about, because to me, this is all we have to rely on as far as in writing what they agree to. So there's that. And I also agree. I think the cost seems still a little off. It doesn't seem quite like market rate. I'm not in HR, so I don't completely know, but just basic searches show 20% usually of whatever the cost of the employee hire is. Okay, fine. So it's crypto. We're in a bull market. Let's pay more. We have the money. But what about at least, I know we're doing 30% or 10,000 in DXD. Why can't we make it more proportionate to how we are paid, which is a 40-60 split between ETH and DXD? I think that would be a nice gesture on their part as well. Those are my two concerns. Oh, and separately, I guess with this, if they come across anyone who's a lower level marketer that we could help kind of start filling up a team for all of our products, because I know we have Keenan, we've had other support from other contributors, but really we need kind of a team with 3 different products and a DAO. Maybe that's something we could also kind of expand the scope of the search to include as well. And for that, I would also be open to expanding the amount that we pay them if they find other individuals to fill those roles.
Definitely. And on the timeline, I think actually that timeline is more dependent on our ability to come to a decision on the candidates, because it takes a lot of back and forth. But we can maybe think about how we can frame that. But I just know in his past, like when you're doing searches, a lot of it is, okay, we have to go through different rounds of interviews. You have to find the right candidates. Obviously, it'd be like much different for us because it's kind of, we'll probably know pretty quickly. And so, yeah, maybe we can think about that. And then on the breakdown of the costs, I think they're pretty open to anything. I would actually just lean. I don't know if we need to, like, I guess I'd rather pay ETH or dollars than DXD right now. But I'm kind of open to whatever the breakdown would be.
Yeah, and so I put this in the forum, but I agree. Like if you just look at the cost, like that sounds like a high number, but when you factor in the fact that they guarantee 12 months and they could replace someone, like I don't know if other recruiting firms do that, but like that in my mind justifies the cost easily, basically, especially if it's a split of different things. That extra clause is what makes the deal much safer from a DXDAO perspective. If it was like pay some guy 40 grand and then he gets to go out and find someone, then the guy comes and a week later he leaves, that's a massive risk. That clause changes the entire structure of the recruitment, and it's almost more of like a team effort. And like they start working for DXDAO, like they're doing this with DXDAO's best interest in mind. That's like exactly what we want. And so yeah cost justifies it to me.
Just quick on that, like there's actually two different recruiters that one Trey that I've worked with before, and he had this experience, and another one in another company that like during that first 6 months a year, they are trying to make sure that candidate is happy, right? So they're like becoming involved in kind of like there. So that is, I think that's important for that whole process. And I think the DXD component will also align us with them long-term, so that they would be interested in seeing the success of DXDAO. And so hopefully, as like Tammy said, there's other like lower level people that we could find. There's also like a bunch of other jobs I'm sure we're going to need in a long time. So maybe they, by aligning with them, we can start that process.
Yeah, not many other DAOs have an awesome recruiting agency that's like looking out for their best interests, like which could be full time almost, or like on a regular basis. That'd be pretty cool.
Maybe I don't need to raise my hand. So branching off of this conversation, I think it would be good to maybe, I don't know if the contributor experience squad wants to deal with this, but I do think Melanie and Ali can kind of combine efforts with Trey and his team and be points of contact, including Chris, in order to figure out a proper process for hiring, figuring out how we're going to bring in recruited individuals into the organization. I think that this is going to be more complicated than they think even. I know they've recruited people before, and maybe maybe some of you have been contacted in this effort, but it's actually very hard to convince someone to move from a successful position unless they're getting more money or there's some sort of status growth opportunity, right? So I would love if we could figure out some sort of streamlined process with people who have some familiarity with recruiting to like really make this as efficient as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we'll be kind of working hand in hand with them during this whole process to find our marketing exec. Just to kind of like circle back and share my thoughts on the process. I do also share a similar opinion about the price being pretty steep for an executive. I think it is pretty standard to fill the position if the person that they find doesn't last. I think that's pretty standard with a lot of recruiting agencies. I do understand that we are in like a bullish market, so it may be a little bit more challenging to find a candidate. My only additional reservation is that they don't have like a lot of success in the, well, I mean, I know they have some proven successes within the market, within the crypto market, with previous candidates that they have. That's just like my only concern as well. But I mean, there's like a lot of mixed opinions. I do know that we need someone as soon as possible. So that's why I'm really kind of giving the thumbs up on this. They'll definitely help with our internal recruiting processes. I think we should have, you know, a lot of different channels for incoming new contributors. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to it, but definitely the price tag is high for me. But if we can use them for long term, then I'm open to it. But I am also open to like looking at other options as well. But those are my thoughts.
Personally, my only reservation would have been if we gave them the retainer and they didn't deliver, let's say 6 months later. So it's like, what was it spent on? Like just ads? You know, if we want, we could also boost a post on LinkedIn and advertise our open positions ourselves. But as Sky said, it's a good selling point that they're guaranteeing that they will provide a replacement. However, how long would it take for that replacement again? So it's like, I'm not against the idea of recruiting them at all. Like, I'm totally for it. Go ahead. But I'm just wondering, how soon could they deliver?
Yeah, and I think Tammy made a really good point about there has to be a process on our side for how we like evaluate and decide on candidates. So even if like we go through with this, they're gonna just be like bringing people, introducing us, and like kind of like walking it through us. But we're gonna have to, you know, decide yay or nay whether it's a fit or not. So I definitely want to work with Melanie and Ali and get others' inputs on that process on kind of filtering candidates there. And I do think they have pretty good experience in crypto. So CoinDesk, Keep, Radar Relay. So I think they have pretty good experience there. Cool. Any other thoughts? Awesome. It sounds like the kind of discussion on well, maybe the compensation breakdown. Maybe we can try to work on that a little bit. And as I said, they were pretty open to anything. I know with Keep, the TBTC group, they had actually taken a lot of payment in Keep. But I kind of share a lot of people. I think TXT is cheap. So I think the payment split amongst those is a good way. And I think now the way it was structured was, so it's 10K up front. That would be the potential cost, and then the rest of the 30K, I think it was 20K in ETH or DAI, and then 10K in DXD. So I'll work on the comp structure. Oh, and then something about the timeline, because I think you're right, Tammy, that like obviously we want to like expedite this, and if it's something on our end, like we I don't think we kind of get to decisions quickly, so we can figure out something there on that. Awesome. Next up is the Discord rep boost. So Keenan has been working on kind of expanding the rep boost program to include our growing Discord community. And I think we've got some people that we want to nominate for rep awards at different amounts. So Keenan, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So I think I already mentioned it previously. But I've kind of documented the first quarter of the Discord and participation, and put arbitrary numbers up to delegated rep. We kind of determined softly that contributors shouldn't be eligible, obviously, and also that if one of the community members in the boost is eligible for an actual rep boost, that would supersede the Discord participation boost, to avoid double dipping. I guess we could talk about that further, perhaps if someone has a lot of Discord participation and is also being recognized for something else, we could consider kind of a mishmash of it. It's not a significant amount of rep after all. But yeah, I have a document I'll share. It's not what we would be sending to the community, but so it needs some work to be a bit more presentable, and me and Chris will be solidifying the numbers. But this is basically it. This is a small amount of rep, making sure the community's like, hey, thanks for participating. We want to see you more. Here's a small amount of rep if you want to get started with governance and, join us. Kind of leave the door open to the community, I think, is the primary goal here.
Sweet. And that was like talking about the RF noob, who was a top Discord contributor, but was also nominated for the normal rep boost because he's or she is active on the forums and also even on this call. So, awesome. Great. And then last thing, just contributor experience check-in, or I don't know if you're doing contributor UX, the contributor experience team. Melanie, do you want to give an update?
Yeah, sure. Last week I mentioned we were going to start working on the job descriptions for all of the current open roles here at DXDAO, and they're almost finished. I will be reaching out to the squad leaders and other contributors to help with the final review of them before putting them into our contributor hub. In addition to the job descriptions, we've also been making revisions to some of the other documents in the contributor hub. At the moment, some of the documents just require a refresh, and we're in the process of doing so. We're happy about how many worker proposals are being submitted on DAO Talk and Alchemy lately. I just have a request that everyone please run their proposals by Ali or myself before actually submitting them directly into Alchemy. We've caught quite a few errors, unfortunately, over the past few weeks, and we want to prevent them from continuing to happen. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Nathan Arhart, who over the past few weeks has referred quite a few new contributors to DXDAO. Recruiting hasn't been easy, as we previously discussed, in this bullish market, but he's been so consistent with his actions and sent quite a few new contributors to us. With that being said, if you have or know someone that you think would be a great addition to DXDAO, just send them our way. And also, we have not quite completed the DX referral program yet, but that is coming soon as well. And then hopefully looking forward to working with some recruiters in the near future.
And then the kind of DXD rep spreadsheet or whatever, when people can check to make sure that they have the right DXD rewards, that's still being worked on, right?
Yeah. So it's still being worked on. I know a lot of people have been asking me about DXD vesting and what that's going to look like. We're going to be submitting a DAO Talk post just to give you guys better an idea of what's going on and how to move forward with that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if there is consensus, but I would think that any referral program that gets implemented should include like for example, what Nathan is. If Nathan's doing a great job recruiting, like it should look back as well, I think, and have some reward for the the recruiting that is happening now, even if the program doesn't exist just yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about how it can be possibly like retroactive.
Yeah, cool.
Well.
Yeah, retroactive is the way in the blockchain world, because then you get people trying to do things for future retroactive airdrops. So
and leaking retroactive airdrops alpha ahead of time is really moves incentive.
Yeah. And I think Melanie mentioned they're working on like an XDAI proposal guide. And so I think there's like a big, we need to have a lot of documentation, and they got documentation books. So, things that we think that we need in terms of guides or things like, shoot our way so we can maybe work on those. I think that's you can put it in a time capsule. have a leak that will be opened in the future that is a retroactive leak. Awesome. I'm trying to say awesome more than cool because I was told I say cool a lot. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Nice. Rad's good. That's a good one, actually.
For the rep boost stuff, those are currently coming on XDAI, or are they currently coming on mainnet, or both?
It should be XDAI, right? So, but I think there's a mainnet rep boost, but they are executed on XDAI, would be how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to worker proposal, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Eligible for mainnet, but I mean, you can,
Yeah.
has the gas costs, even probably aren't going to want to.
However, you know, as we've stated though, like, you know, like the Treasury diversification V2 proposal, like the mainnet proposal, even though it's duplicated on both, like the mainnet one is the most important one. So DXDAO is still on mainnet. So even though there's a cost to it, I think having more people actually get their rep boosts on mainnet, like, is, unless they really don't want to, and they don't want to, I think they get reimbursed, but it would be ideal to continue to grow the mainnet distribution, and not just, unless we're like worker proposals, we're keeping track of it and then we'll do it once a quarter, but maybe we're due to do a once a quarter update right now. Like, but it would be good for rep boost to be on both, I think. But
yeah, I agree. I think the way, or at least the way we should be solving this, is that like quarterly one, and I know we need to work on that because it's a huge thing. But I think there were like 15 different like nominations, and these are like small amounts of rep, right? Because it was like 0.04%, because it's based on like their Discord usage. So I think it would be difficult to do those on mainnet. And remember, like, we actually had a lot of rep boosts that people weren't doing on mainnet before, even if they get reimbursed. So like, I want to issue mainnet rep to people, but it's like hard to get them to submit the proposal on mainnet, I think.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how much your used car was, John.
Pretty old used car, to be fair.
Well, because I always like you always overestimate gas, because it's not always what you see, because that's like the gas limit.